UFC Vegas 100 just recently wrapped up, and I'm going to recap the entire card. I hit 40,000 subscribers during the Fight Companion live stream, so thank you guys who support the channel. Very happy to be 40,000 deep. And also, UFC Vegas 100 was actually a really fun UFC Apex card, which was filled with a ton of finishes. The picks were fire too. The confident picks were a clean sweep, and I absolutely crushed it with the parlays. We'll talk about all of that stuff at the end. We're going to go fight by fight, giving my reaction to each of the matchups. Make sure you guys smash the likes, and if you're new, subscribe, join the 40,000. And let's talk about fight one. Ladies went after it. Melissa Mullins versus Klaudia Syguła. Not really a fight that I am ever going to go back and rewatch, besides when I got to watch tape on Mullins next time out. She landed takedown. She got on top. She controlled. She beat Syguła up. Syguła looked okay in round number one on the feet and did okay defending takedowns, but ultimately got exposed by Mullins, who's, a clearly superior wrestler, grappler. Good ground and pound from top position. She was physically stronger. She was in better shape. Leading into this fight, I was kind of tossing and turning on it, but right before the stream, I'm like, I think Mullins is going to pull through, even though I was feeling after the weigh-ins like Syguła might end up having a chance. But I think that the truth is you got to trust the damn tape. Even though Syguła made the weight and on short notice had us fooled thinking she was ready to go, she looked like not UFC level and like literally not in physical condition to fight. Whereas Mullins is solid. But the thing is, she doesn't know how to make 135. She's a damn featherweight fighting at 135 pounds. What are we doing? This ain't the fucking featherweight division. This is bantamweight. So she got to get something figured out with these weight cuts, because if she can't make the weight, she can't do anything serious at this weight class. This is 2 in a row, and the 145-pound division don't exist. So she needs to dial in. Also, she got her black belt in jiu-jitsu after the finish, which I thought was pretty cool. It was on the ground, right? The way she won the fight was with grappling. It's always weird when a fighter gets a knockout and then the jiu-jitsu coach gives the black belt. I'm like, I guess it's more the timing of celebration, not like the technique that got them the black belt per se. Syguła got completely exposed, though. I really don't think she's good. She looks very rudimentary on the floor, and Mullins looks strong. So good win from Melissa Mullins. UFC experience coming in handy and getting it done over Klaudia Syguła, who seems to be kind of OF model vibes following her UFC career. You guys know it's true, and that's just a based and honest take, but I think the masses agree. Let's keep running up. Next fight, Tresean Gore, Antonio Trócoli. Listen, my guy Tresean Gore is the one, okay? Locks in the gilly. Trócoli's known for the jiu-jitsu game. He's known as the better grappler, right? Everybody's thinking he's probably going to beat Tresean on the ground. Tresean locks in a nasty guillotine, forcing the tap 1 minute and 23 seconds in. He's good at locking guillotines up on these freakishly tall middleweights. Last fight, he did it against Josh Frem. Now he does it with Trócoli here, and I'd say arguably more impressive here, especially because he was off 2 years, and he was taking on Trócoli, who fought recently and went 3 rounds into the later stages of his fight with Shara Bullet. But I said it all week. I thought Gore would beat Trócoli faster and more impressively than Shara, because Tresean Gore is a well-versed MMA fighter. He's a very promising prospect. He's good everywhere. And at 30, I really think he's come into his own, and I like his style. And I want to see more, because he's fighting bottom-end middleweights. I want to see him fight somebody with a little bit of skill. And Tresean, definitely a must-watch guy. You can't write him off. His losses are Bryan Battle and Cody Brundage. He got caught by Brundage, and Bryan Battle beat him in a competitive fight. He's on a 2-fight win streak. Easy to forget about him because he had 2 years off, but he definitely made a statement with a quick sub in this one. And I think deserves $50,000 as a bonus. Next one, Blackshear and Cody Stamann. Blackshear by submission. This is my D-Gen prop call of the night, and it was absolutely fantastic, bro. Looking at the fight, though, forget about the betting side. Blackshear got touched a little bit on the feet early by Stamann, but then he started rocking him. He was making him real uncomfortable. He shot for a deep gilly, actually, that was close to getting locked in from full mount, and then ultimately finishes the fight with the rear naked, and Cody Stamann forced to tap. Blackshear's submission skills are legit, and I really think he has top 15 potential. Easy to write him off after Mario Batista fight or after the fight against Montel for sure. Actually, I wrote him on the list of guys to watch after I thought he won against Batista, but the decision went the other way. But then Montel KO'd him in like one shot. But going out and making easy work of Cody Stamann, winning by submission in the first round, this is a really good thing. And for his, future in the UFC, this is a necessity because Stamann's towards the tail end. Let's be real here. I'm interested in what's next for Blackshear. He's definitely an interesting top 25 bantamweight. And I feel like he gives a lot of dudes trouble. He's got a long frame, long arms, strong, good wrestling. Granted, you could say he has a questionable chin since Montel caught him, but I think it was just a perfect punch. So, good win for Blackshear. And he ended up being my late notice Lock City parlay piece. There was Blackshear and Gomes after the Sopa fight got canceled. So, shout out Blackshear for coming through as part of the Lock parlay. And then the next fight, Charles Radtke, Matthew Semelsberger. Can we just go bravo to Charles Radtke? He made Semelsberger look completely washed and old. Meanwhile, Semelsberger is younger than him. Radtke rocked his shit and like Semelsberger is doing the chicken dance, right? Gets up for a second, goes down for a second. The referee jumps in, standing stoppage because, you know what? The brain was shutting off. And I don't think Matt Semelsberger needed to eat another fist from Radtke because he was going to go flat out. And I don't think he needs that type of brain damage, especially on a 3-fight losing streak. Now 4 losses in a row. You got to think after a bad one like this, Matt Semelsberger is probably out of the UFC following this fight. He just seems like he doesn't really have it anymore. On the feet, he used to look slick and he was known as like a powerful striker early on. He had some promise and like there was still competitive moments against Jeremiah Wells and Uros Medic and even with Preston Parsons. But Charles Radtke ran him over easily. This was a beating. I also think this jumps Radtke's stock. The only loss for Radtke is Prates, who won in the main event of this card. Radtke's a really fun welterweight, and I'm excited to see what's next. Definitely not getting any top 15 guy, but there's promising matchups. I don't know. Off the top of my head, I'm sitting here and I'm like, I don't know exactly the direction they're going to go. I don't know how much of a jump up he gets after beating Matt Semelsberger, but definitely fun fights on the horizon, and Radtke talks his shit after. He went through like 4 different emotions in his post-fight interview. That was pretty funny. From angry to happy to emotional to content. I love what I see from Radtke, and count me in as a Radtke fan. Good dude, good hands, big power. And we still haven't seen the Gilly, but I'm telling you it's coming. He's got good jiu-jitsu. He just didn't need it here. Next fight, we had Elizeu Zaleski and Zach Scroggin. Talk about a squash match and a half. Zach Scroggin, first thing, respect for taking the fight on short notice against a dude who has a ton of experience in the UFC and is really well-rounded. Elizeu Zaleski beat the absolute piss out of a short notice Zach Scroggin. You could tell Scroggin wasn't in the best shape physically. He missed weight here. He also taken this fight on super short notice. And when you compare competition level, holy shit. You fight Elizeu Zaleski, but the fight before, you fighting Zach Busha. You fighting a 9-17 Josh Weston. You taking on Josh Tully, who's 5-4. To jump to Zaleski, that level jump is absolutely insane. And on short notice, recipe for a vicious beating in one round. And that's what happened. Elizeu Zaleski beat the shit out of Scroggin, dropped him, finished him with ground and pound, and looked like a dangerous top 20-ish UFC welterweight. I mean, he gave Renat Fakhretdinov hell. And yeah, he lost to Randy Brown, but Brown is freakishly tall and long with gnarly boxing. Zach Scroggins is in the UFC, though. He definitely will get a second shot because Elizeu Zaleski's an OG savage. And, like, let's be honest, Zaleski beat the shit out of Benoit Saint-Denis, and that was BSD's debut. Look how good he's done since then. So maybe Zach Scroggin has promise. He's 7-1. He had never lost a fight as an amateur or a pro. And then to take a beating like this in a UFC debut, I think that shows the level difference between like a regional scene opposition and an Elizeu Zaleski, who's maybe not ranked in the top 15, but like a top 25 welterweight for years. High-level MMA from Zaleski. Dangerous striking, big power. And I'm excited to see him fight again, man. I think him and Dalby should fight still. I want to see it rebooked. I want that rematch. That'd be a really cool fight. Zaleski's fun, man. Let's keep running. Let's jump to the featured prelim. Ladies went after it. It was Denise Gomes and Kowalkiewicz. And as I anticipated, Denise Gomes would outstrike her, outposition her, outwork her, and land the harder shots throughout the whole thing. Kowalkiewicz landed a couple, but nothing significant. Denise Gomes was able to stop the takedown attempts. There was a couple times where she spun and Kowalkiewicz like almost was able to drag her down with like body lock back control, but nothing really doing there. It didn't happen. And Denise Gomes looked quick on the feet. She's training with Jessica Andrade, right? She's at like an all-girls team, which is interesting. And I think she's a promising girl for that top 15 of the women's strawweight division, especially at only 24 years of age. She's a baby in the game. And, you know, Jessica Andrade vibes in a sense, but obviously a different style. Short and powerful, though. She also was part of the Lock City Parlay, so shout out Denise Gomes getting the win, cashing the lock of the week, because I had to do a parlay this week with all these chalky lines. And another one comes through, so I'm feeling great. And Gomes put it on her. Good striking. I wish she would have gotten the knockout just for like the fan side of me to see, oh my God, she KOs Kowalkiewicz. I think that would have really jumped her stock substantially, but still, dominant win. I thought she won every round. It was impressive, and she's a well-versed prospect who's only 24. She's still super young. I'm excited to see what's next. Let's keep running. Let's jump to our main card opener. If you haven't, smash that like button, and if you're new, subscribe. We got Meerschaert Abdul-Malik, who is another prospect to watch, who beat up Duško Todorović. So he dropped Todorović early, and then he was attacking him with heavy shots, and it just started turning into a brawl. Malik was throwing massive shots as freaking Todorović is hunting for leg locks and ankle locks. And, you know, even at one point it looked like he might be rolling to a knee bar. None of it worked. He got his head thudded with power shots. You can see he was lumped up. And then he ends up getting caught with a big knee, goes down, finished off. I mean, listen, Abdul-Malik beat up Duško Todorović and pounded him with some heavy shots from top position. Abdul-Malik's a promising guy, man. He's really athletic and powerful. The worry would be the gas tank if that fight would have went later, but it didn't go later because Abdul-Malik is a finisher. And I like his style. Very violent, wrestling base that he can always go to. Developing striking game. I still see moments of rawness in the striking, a little fluff on his punches, and a little loopy with his shots, but clean power for sure, and a natural knockout ability. And his ground and pound is high level. And at 27, at middleweight being 27, sky is the limit for him. And he was with, what, Eric Nixick and Sean Strickland. Amazing team to have around you as a middleweight on the come-up, I'll tell you that. And he destroyed Duško Todorović. And I think he's a fun prospect. They definitely should take their time. He's only got 7 pro fights. You don't need to rush him up the ranks just because he got an impressive win over Todorović. Slow and steady. Build some skills. Build some fine-tuned abilities. The potential is there. But now it's about fine-tuning some stuff. And shit, I think Abdul-Malik is the guy to watch. So shout out to him with a nice W over Duško Todorović. It was good. It was clean. It was vicious. It was violent. It was effective. And it was fun. Next fight, ladies went after it. Jillian Robertson, Luana Pinheiro. To be fair, this fight was probably like a little closer than anticipated. In round number 2, Pinheiro actually outstruck Robertson and was able to defend a lot of the grappling attacks. Round number 1 was competitive, but I thought Robertson definitely got the win with the pressure grappling style and landed bigger shots. But round 3, it was all Robertson. She got Pinheiro down, dominated. And Jillian Robertson is strong. She wasn't able to get a sub against Luana Pinheiro, and she was upset about it after the fact. Pinheiro's got crafty grappling. She's got a good judo base. She's decently scrambly. She's not easy to dominate, but Robertson 1,000% outdogged her late and wanted it more. Finished the fight with big ground and pound. There was elbows, some 12-6 elbows, full mount. Even though Pinheiro got out of the mount position, it was still Robertson definitely taking round number 3 with relative ease and beating Luana Pinheiro up. So I like what I saw from her. As far as the takedowns, they're always on point. The gas tank is something that has really improved because Robertson, with the ability to engage in pressure wrestling and do work from top position for 3 rounds, is definitely somebody to keep an eye on at 115 pounds. She's really skilled. Only recent loss is Tabitha Ritchie, who's one of the most promising up-and-comers in the damn weight class. And Robertson's still relatively young. At 29, there's a lot of time for her to grow. And she's been in the UFC forever, too. So I'm excited for more Jillian Robertson. Pinheiro, Shit, Nicolau got cut last week. That's her boyfriend. She might be getting cut this week. I'll feel bad for the family if they both get cut back to back like that. So maybe the UFC will have a nice big old heart and be warm and say, no, we're not going to cut you. But the cold-hearted company, I think they're probably letting Pinheiro go after a hard loss here to Robertson. But I could be wrong because she was ranked, but Nicolau was ranked too. So don't be shocked if Pinheiro's outside of the UFC this coming Monday. We shall see. Robertson with a nice win. And what, 3 fights in a row? I like it. Next one, big upset of the night. Gaston Bolanos defeats Cortavius Romious. Romious, he got exposed a little bit in this fight, and I think that Bolanos actually looked good. Romious is a guy who has notable power and has good submission skills. But what he did in this fight is he put himself on the red flag list for me for future picks because he is a guy who is willing to accept bottom position. And that is not something you love in a cage fight because when you're on the bottom, for the most part, you're losing. And he accepted bottom position a lot in this fight. Relatively slick southpaw, but Bolanos put it on him with a vicious attack. He was all over him with pressure, throwing big shots. First round was close. First round, I think that you could have scored the first 4.5 minutes towards Bolanos, but then Romious seems to rock Bolanos at the very end, potentially stealing round 1. But it's a coin flip round. I can see an argument for both sides. Round 2, Romious with tremendous grappling control, but then Bolanos puts it on him with vicious ground and pound after he gets out of the back control position, the body triangle at some points. But Romious is not that good with the body triangle. Sometimes he looks clunky crossing his feet and shit. He's not great from the back control position. He's not like an Aljamain Sterling on your back. And Bolanos was able to get out and land some big shots and hurt Romious. And Romious looked tired late in round 2. And then in round 3, it was competitive, but I think Bolanos did more damage, landed the bigger shots. I thought 29-28 for Bolanos was a very fair scorecard, even though he finished very strong. It's weird that there was a 30-26 in the mix. I don't really know. Where would the 10-8 round be? Would it be round 2? He was that damaging? Would it be round 3? He's at 30-26? I thought that was surprising. 29-28. I could get why you'd score it 30-27 if the judge thought that the early portion of round 1 was more important than the end because there was better shots from him. He landed some nice kicks to the body of Romious, some decent punches, and Bolanos looked well-versed. After the fight, he dedicated the fight to his father. I thought that was nice, man. Bolanos, he's put in the work to get good, and I definitely feel like he's gotten way better on the ground since that damn debut against what is his name? Aaron something. Remember that guy that he fought in his debut? Who was a complete washout? Aaron Phillips. I was about to say Aaron Simpson, but I was like, nah, he was a good wrestler back in like the 2010s UFC. And then Romious loses his debut after getting signed from Contender. He'll stick around, but, definitely some sus moments. And it's not like Romious is 26, right? He's 30. He's almost 31. So those little holes in the game, things to worry about. I don't necessarily see him closing those holes. Bolanos, good W, though. He's definitely gotten a lot better, and he's a fun guy to watch, and I'm happy hard-fought UFC win came to him finally, and he was a big dog. We all doubted him. Plus 180. Shout out Bolanos. And then the co-main event. Reinier de Ridder and Gerald Meerschaert went after it in a really competitive fight. De Ridder came out on top, but it wasn't with some scary moments. He was getting boxed up in round number 1. Gerald Meerschaert was touching him clean and outstriking him. And then De Ridder lands a violent elbow in the clinch. It ended up landing like a looping left hook that drops Gerald Meerschaert badly to end round 1. Round 2's competitive scrambles in the grappling, I think it was relatively close, but you could kind of potentially edge out round 2 to Meerschaert. And I think there was good moments for him on the ground, but both guys had opportunities and attempts for submissions. Round number 3, I mean, De Ridder essentially wouldn't be denied with the pressure grappling in round 3. And he essentially outworked Gerald Meerschaert into a submission. He beat Meerschaert where he's at his best, which is round 3 submissions. He said he Meerschaerted Gerald Meerschaert. And I think it couldn't have been better said. It's facts. He did what Meerschaert does, which is weather a bit of a storm. Granted, he dropped Meerschaert early, but deal with a guy late and then find the submission at the end of the fight when they're tired. And that's what he did. Both guys were exhausted at the end, but the arm triangle is the killer move for Reinier de Ridder. And the former one championship 2-weight champ gets a massive W, and he kind of threw some shade at one, saying they were holding up his career. You can't give him too much of a jump. Like, I don't think he's getting top 15. I'm kind of interested in the fight between him and Andre Muniz, but I don't know if Muniz is booked. There's interesting fights. Could see him in a position where he's matched up with somebody like, I don't know, a Bo Nickel or Paul Craig, but I don't know if they're going to give him Bo Nickel in like his second fight, especially if Nickel beats Craig. It's going to be a hard sell. Maybe a Craig fight. I don't know if Craig's come off a loss, they give it to him. I think Andre Petroski's a name that comes to my mind. Jacob Malkoun. I don't know exactly what the UFC is going to do, but I don't think it's a top 15 guy yet. But his intentions is trying to make a run at the top 15. We'll see if he gets there. He's kind of a better version of Gerald Meerschaert and Paul Craig, to be fair. He's a little clunky on the feet. Listen, I will tell you guys this. I'm going to stand firm on this. If Bo Nickel beats Paul Craig, can we please do Gerald Meerschaert versus Paul Craig finally? I think everybody would agree that would be an absolutely sick fight in 2025, and it must happen. It must happen, UFC. Please, if Paul Craig loses, which we're expecting him to lose to Bo Nickel, if he does, GM3 fight, finally. Both coming off losses, perfect fight to make. Shout out Reinier de Ridder for getting a hard-fought win. He had to dig deep. He was tested. He looked clunky on the feet at times. He likes to go to that tie clinch or that like underhook on the feet, very like judo-like grappling position. His chin comes up a bit high. He's uncomfortable getting hit at times, but he doesn't break. He's uncomfortable, but he still fights through it. And Reinier de Ridder gets a win over Gerald Meerschaert by third-round submission, and you got to respect him for subbing a grappler like GM3. So W on the side of de Ridder deserves respect. Next fight, main event of the evening. If you guys haven't, smash that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. It was Carlos Prates versus Neil Magny. Carlos Prates ended Neil Magny in round one. People in my chat were trying to say phantom punch. Listen, he punched him right on the temple and put him flat out. The left landed on the temple as Magny was going down. It landed right here, and he went flat out. Trust me, it hit. I watched the replay multiple times. It hit. Now, Neil Magny tried to wrestle Prates up, and what we saw was Prates has good grappling defense, but at times looked a little uncomfortable in the first 2 minutes with Magny pressing forward, trying to throw shots, backing him up, shooting takedown attempts, but Prates with unreal balance, because at one point, Magny elevated a single leg, and I feel like a lot of guys would have went down, but all those kickboxing and Muay Thai fights for Prates, his dexterity's off the chain, and he stays upright. And he hurt Magny bad with like a short elbow that dropped him, and then he was just hunting him down. Magny's trying to hold on to survive. The last minute of the damn fight, he was in survival mode, and Prates eventually lands the kill shot. Prates is Adesanya, Anderson Silva, and Alex Pereira blended together into an absolutely savage welterweight. Like, I love it. How are you not a Carlos Prates fan after a violent win like that? The dude has everything a fan wants, and we need a powerful striker to make waves in this damn welterweight division. Morales is good. I like Morales, but Prates is scarier. Buckley's good, but Prates has a different aura. Ian Gary's good, but he doesn't have any punching power. I'll tell you right now, Prates, Ian Gary, right now, I'd favor Prates, because he's got the devastating power option. Gary doesn't. And if they're forced to strike and Prates is defending Gary's takedown attempts, he's doing serious damage, and he's finishing that fight. After the fight, Prates made a call for Jack Della, but he agreed it might be too far of a jump up the ranks. I kind of feel like the UFC is going to say the exact same thing. So instead, is it an awful idea if maybe we go Carlos Prates versus Jeff Neal, as he also mentioned? I don't think anybody's complaining about that fight. Carlos Prates and Jeff Neal would be an absolutely sensational matchup. And me personally, I would love to watch those two fight. And I think Prates would probably violently knock out Neal. Another good thing is both of them coming off first round knockout finishes. I know, RDA's knee blew out, but he was getting his shit rocked by Jeff Neal too. And I think they'll be kind of ready to turn around. I don't know if they're actually going to make it happen in Australia, but 2025, big fight for Prates, Jeff Neal, another striker. Jeff Neal's kind of the guy you got to get past next, right? You think about Ian Gary. He had a hard fight with Jeff Neal, but he beat him in a competitive fashion. Well, he ran from him a lot. Shavkat beat Jeff Neal, but not without moments of trouble. Let's see how Jeff Neal does with Prates. And I think Prates probably beats him more violently than all of the other guys I listed. So I'm pretty hyped for what's next. Carlos Prates is quickly becoming one of my favorite fighters in the UFC, representing Fighting Nerds, which is a savage team with a vicious first-round knockout where he's shown his wrestling defense. But after the fight, what I love, I watched his post-fight interview with the desk team, the analyst table, And he said he wants to work more on his grappling because he knows everybody's going to try to grapple him. Of course, he's a terrifying striker. He's like Pereira at 170. Who the hell would want to strike with him? I'm glad that he recognizes that. And I'm glad that he has the team in Fighting Nerds with a good grappler like Caio Borralho around him to actually fine-tune that skill set. Because I ultimately feel that is the difference maker between him being top 7 or him being top 4 or top 3 or top 1. His striking is already some of the best we've ever seen at welterweight. No argument. But if he can stop takedowns and he can force some of these beastly grapplers to strike with him, he's going to chin a lot of people. So, Carlos Prates, sensational win. And I feel like right now he has that it factor. And if he can stop some of these takedowns, I'm telling you, if he can defend the grappling positions, if his get-ups are quality, he's going to be a title challenger. And he's got the striking to be a champion. His striking is unmatched in the weight class, I feel already. If you partner that with grappling defense, be very afraid, Bilal. Be very afraid, Shavkat. Be very afraid, Sean Brady. Be very afraid, Ian Gary. Be very afraid, Joaquin Buckley, because Carlos Prates will put you all to sleep on the feet. And I'm damn excited. So count me in as Team Prates all the way to the damn top. Hell yeah. Massive W. And I hope Neil Magny's okay. He's a good dude. Now, as far as the picks, really good calls, I would say. Pre-weigh-ins, 10-1. Post-weigh-in, made a little bit of a dumb pick flip, but chat said it doesn't count, so we're calling it 10-1. First fight early in the week had Mullins, but I don't know. I got delusional after the weigh-ins. Oh, my gosh. Got something in my damn eye. I'm getting emotional with this fight. But right before they fought on stream, I was like, guys, I think I'm walking it back. So chat decided I'm 10-1. I'll count it. Win with Tresean Gore over Trócoli. Perfect prediction with the D-Gen prop with Damon Blackshear and lock parlay piece. And then Charles Radtke, violent win, thought he'd get the finish. Zaleski, violent win, thought he'd get the knockout. Gomes win, which was part of that Lock City parlay with Gomes and Blackshear as a late replacement to the Sopal one. Getting it done. Lock of the week hits again. Mansour Abdul-Malik inside distance hits. Robertson gets it done over Pinheiro. Had Romious with Bolanos, took an L there, but is what it is. Thought the Ritter would beat Meerschaert and was live for a sub or a decision, and he got it. And I called Prates KO. So overall, pretty spectacular night for the calls. I'm damn happy how everything looked. Holy shit. This was a pretty excellent night. Let's look at some parlays from this week, though. Let's see what we ran up. I still got last week on screen. All right, so this week's parlays were pretty fuego. Now, of course, with Sopa pulling out, some of the odds shifted, and the second parlay up from the top became the Lock City parlay. But still, some tremendous calls with the prop play, the sweeps, the kind of D-Gen call. Still good odds on a lot of them, and I'm very happy that we pulled through. Damn, missed on like the Savage D-Gen call because Romious ends up selling, but that's how it goes sometimes. I can't expect to hit the Savage D-Gen every week just because we did it last week. But listen, I'm ready to bring it for UFC 309, and I would say that UFC Vegas 100 was a superb success. And on top of the amazing picks, parlays, and fuego content, you guys were amazing because the subscriber count got ran way up past 40,000. So I want to say a sincere thank you to everybody that supports the channel. I got mad love for each and every one of you. Thank you guys for tuning into the show. Make sure you guys smash the likes, and if you're new, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And full card picks coming November 10th, Sunday, for UFC 309. So keep it locked in on the channel. Thanks for watching, everybody. W's in the comments if you got nothing to say. I'm signing off. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Much love. Peace, everyone.